Right then, Road Trip Adventure 6 for Shitholes of the UK. In this road trip we're going to some really crap places and taking a piss out of how crap they are. First destination, Cambridge. Now Cambridge I wouldn't say is that shit because I do like Cambridge. It's got a really nice guided busway. But what really pisses me off about Cambridge is the amount of land taken up by the posh twats university. And it really annoys me when large parts of the town centre, which should be public, are taken up by private corporations. And there's loads of nice looking parks around Cambridge, but you can't access any of them. They're all university land for university students only. And unlike most universities where you can just go in and explore university, Cambridge University keeps their university very locked down and keeps out all the outsiders. Meaning when you go through Cambridge, there's a limited number of routes that you can walk through simply because of how much space the stupid university takes up, which I feel is wrong. But before we go and trespass at the university, let's first go into the Hilton Hotel. The lift from the entrance level up to the main podium is the Schindler M series, which has sadly been horribly modernised. And now to the main lifts, which are some Schindler 5500s.
Lift is going up. Door closing. Floor 4. Door opening.
And along to the service lift, which is a gated lift, but sadly it's been horribly modernised. And now we go to the nice glass eco discs in John Lewis. And now we go along to a car park. This car park calls its floors decks. It's like a car park's pretending to be a boat. It would be nice if that meant it had marine lifts, but sadly it doesn't. The lifts are some older lifts which have been modernised by Cone, and the top floor of the car park is locked off, and the stairs up there are boarded up. So you know what that means? Let's surf the lift up there and find out what is on the top floor. Secret floor. Padlocked. Secret. And now it's university trespassing time. I managed to sneak into some parts of the university and along into a secret library, which is very grand looking, like I think a bit too highly of themselves. This library is restricted to prestigious university students only. Let's go and explore it, and let's play a game. Let's find the biggest book with the most number of pages, and let's find the oldest book. Let's go. So where do I start? There's a lot of books in this library and they all look really old. I wonder where the oldest book is. Well, let's go and search for it. And then I managed to find the weirdest series of books in this library, the Cambridge University Reporter, which is a set of books published every 1 or 2 years, dating back to 1877. And these books are literally equivalent of a modern day blog or vlog. It is literally the most mundane, boring, non-stuff being babbled on about. And these books are literally just a book of what they did in a particular year. And it is literally the most mundane stuff. What's so weird is in 1877, being able to publish your own work would have been much, much harder than what it is in the modern day. Very few people actually had access to publishing. So the fact that they actually have the facility to get an actual book published, and the fact they filled it out with absolute nonsense, they must have felt themselves very important and privileged for that. And it was at this point I spotted the section of the library with the really old looking books. Let's try one of these books, and this one is from 1849. It's got an interesting printed marble effect on it, and this one's labelled as Art Journal, and this one actually has printed pictures in it, and these pictures are printed surprisingly well for the 1840s. I didn't think I'd be able to print pictures that well back then. And this picture here shows what life was like back in the 1840s. Very different to today. And after this, I managed to spot an even older book from 1828. Although this one had nothing in it that was of interest. Then I found this incredibly old looking book, but sadly this one didn't have a date on it. And along to the oldest book I managed to find, which is from 1816. Now that is old. The date is written in ridiculous Roman numerals. I never got the point of Roman numerals. Seems like a load of bollocks to me. And in this book, this seems to be laws passed this year. And the text is very small. And the printed text doesn't even fill up the page. It's like printing technology was very basic back then compared to today. Then, after this, I managed to find the biggest book in the library for most pages.
That's the biggest book. Look how big that book is.
And you'll never guess which sort of book this is. It's the Cambridge University Reporter, of course. This one's from 1960. So they must have had a fucking load of shit happening this year to have a book this big. And this book has 2,212 pages. And that's not including a section at the end of the book. Altogether, this book must have about 2,400 pages. Like fucking hell, there must be a load of utter bollocks going on in 1960 for a book is big. And the book is literally full of utter bollocks, just like the rest of the University Reporter series. So we now leave this library and take a look at the lift here. This has got this model of eco-disc which I've never really understood. Like the indicator looks quite nice, but the buttons look so cheap. I'll never get this particular set of eco-disc fixtures.
Lower ground floor. Doors opening.
So, continuing on with the shitholes of the UK, along we go to Huntingdon, which is a very crap place indeed. The reason why I came here is because I wanted to check on the Becker lift in the hospital, which has sadly been horribly modernised. Although one good thing is it's been modernised with Hydroair Intelligent Levelling Hydraulic, and this lift is very slow, and the Hydroair Intelligent Levelling is usually really good, but in this one it's even better than normal. So a very slow lift with very good intelligent levelling. It pretty much feels like a single speed lift.
Doors closing. Lift going up. First floor, doors opening.
So let's have a closer look at intelligent levelling. So it's going full speed, still full speed, still full speed, now deaccelerates, now stops, and there's a little bit of pre-doors. Very nice. The only other lift of interest in Huntingdon Hospital is this Schindler 5400. I like this model of lift because it's got Schindler's classic iconic intelligent levelling with intelligent overrun, and it's got semi-pre-start, and the motor sounds really nice, but only in the downwards direction. And along to the town centre, which is crap. And along to this car park, and the lifts here are very bad. The horrible voice that goes, opening door. Ugh.
Closing doors.
And weirdly, the voice announces every floor a lift passes. Lifts only do this when it's a Bosch voice, where a voice has been wired into the indicator of an older logic system.
Floor 1.
But as this is a new installation, why does it do this?
Floor 2. Floor 3. Opening doors.
And along we go to some Otis lifts. Lifts I would say are too boring to film. But there's something weird about these lifts. To start with, they look and operate just like you would expect from an Otis. But there's something wrong with these. On the inside it's been modernised and the indicator, as soon as the lift starts moving, it goes blank. Why does it do this? Now you might be thinking, oh, it's just a pseudo floor are set as blank between ground and 2. But that is not the case, because it goes blank as soon as the lift starts moving, when Otis logics only update the indicator when it gets to the point to deaccelerate for a floor. So what's going on could be one of two things. One, it's got a new weird Chinese crappy logic installed on it, and somehow I've managed to interface that with the Otis equipment. Nah, that's pretty unlikely. Or more likely, the shitty generic company that replaced the internal panel has completely fucked up the logic. And now we go along to Peterborough, somewhere that I'd previously discovered is complete utter shit. So I decided to return, just in case the place had magically become not so shit. But it turns out it hasn't. And along we go to a new housing development. The residential buildings here look fairly nice. That is if they were a bit taller, but they're disappointingly low rise. Why can't they build some taller buildings here, especially when there's a housing shortage, with some taller buildings that could make Peterborough a bit nicer, but no, they have to have these stupid height restraints and build these stupidly small buildings and the lifts. Oh dear. They're fucking shit Otis Gen 2s. Oh!
Doors closing. Going down.
Oh dear.
These residential buildings have a multi-storey car park, which has an eco-disc lift, but sadly this lift was switched off due to coronavirus. Now I don't have a sodding clue how switching off a lift helps with coronavirus, but luckily, due to our wonderful government's handling of the pandemic, all of the old people that would have used this lift have all been killed off. So it doesn't really matter if the lift doesn't work. And now we go to the town centre and along to a 1980s building. This building's got a classic 80s look to the tinted windows. I'll go inside this building, take a look what it looks like on the inside, and it looks nice and 80s looking. But sadly, the 80s lifts have been replaced with horrible, disgusting, cheap, modern day lifts. Ugh.
Ground floor.
And now I go and explore Peterborough in the hope of actually discovering something interesting. And I discover that there's loads of sharp spins here. Looks like the drug problem in Peterborough is really running rampant. So they needed loads of sharp spins for all of their druggies. Isn't Peterborough a lovely place? And along we go to a tower block. And as is typical nowadays to put extra floors in these tower blocks, because these old buildings are often built really well with good foundations and are often plenty strong enough to have a whole new lightweight floor added to the top. The lifts here are some old Otis lifts which have sadly been modernised with boring Leicester. Basically they're completely ruined. Let's surf it. We now go into the centre of Peterborough and this is what it looks like. Had a look around the town centre and I noticed, oh fuck, this town's a nationalist town! What has gone wrong with this country? Why is it town centres are now flying nationalist flags? The UK is literally turning into America, stoking up nationalism to try and make the people think that Brexit was a good idea. It's completely disgusting, it's completely political. Now we go along to the shopping centre, and first we go to the car park lifts. These lifts have been replaced and have new lift logic and go 1.6 metres a second.
Doors closing. Floor. Doors opening. Lift going down.
Let's surf them!
Well, it's big, beefy. Big chassis.
And now I go to a glass lift in the centre of the shopping centre. This lift has been modernised with HydroWare Perfect Intelligent Levelling.
Doors closing. First floor. Doors opening.
This lift appears to only go between the lower and upper shopping floors, but it's also got a secret floor. What is up there?
Second floor.
What's that, Nancy?
Doors opening.
So you go up to a secret floor and discover it's an abandoned restaurant. Let's take a look around.
Well, that's so weird, it's boarded up over there. Sleep over here. Ooh.
And now I go along to the Heritage Railway and let's play a game. Guess how many mistakes the volunteers have made on this Heritage Railway? Take your bets. And let's now take a look at their mistakes. Mistake number 1. The signal for coming into the terminus station is a distance signal, which can only show yellow or green. It can't show red. And there's points directly after this signal, meaning that if these points were set wrong, the signal could only show yellow, and that means that, technically speaking, the train would then just go and crash as this signal can't actually stop the train. And also, after a distance signal, there has to be a home signal, and there isn't one. So this distance signal with this precision is completely, utterly incorrect. Mistake number 2. At the middle station of the line, there is a set of points, and this set of points is very strange as it can both be controlled traditionally manually from the signal box using levers, and it can also be controlled using an automatic points changer. Why the fuck would they want to use both systems on one set of points? But what the mistake is, it has 2 signals for this, a semaphore signal and a regular coloured light signal. When the points are run manually, you use the semaphore signal, and when the points are being run automatically, you use the coloured light signal. But that means these 2 signals conflict with each other, which is completely wrong. And mistake number 3. The coloured light signal on this coloured light and semaphore weird bodgy signal is a level crossing signal. It is a non-block signal. These little signals are just to indicate the status of a level crossing to tell the train if it's safe to pass the level crossing or not. A reason why it's this little design of signal is to show the driver this signal does not form part of the block system. But as this signal is used on a set of points, it is forming part of the block system, which means its use in this case is completely wrong. Mistake number 4. As there's not enough volunteers on this railway to run all of the signals, they just leave all of the signals on green. This means there's 2 conflicting green signals for going both directions down the track. There's a green signal, which would technically mean a train could run one way up the line and get a green signal, and a train could run opposite way up the line and would also get a green signal, meaning the 2 trains would crash. What a brilliant heritage railway this is, and that brings the total number of mistakes to 4. So after taking a look at Heritage Railway, I then go and have a swim in the local swimming pool. After that, I then go along to a building with some Cone M Series TMS lifts. Sadly, buttons have been replaced, but the logic is still original and it has full intelligent levelling. Let's surf it.
Doors open.
So continuing with our theme of shitholes, along we go to Grantham. So is Grantham the shittest place in the UK? I think it's close, but not quite, because there's a very rare late 1980s express lift, which is hydraulic. A very rare example of an express lift indeed. Let's ride it. And along we go to the shopping centre, which has, oh dear, a very crappy lift. The only thing I can really say of interest is that this ILE lift actually plays the ding dong chimes. Even though all ILEs will have these, they're almost never used.
Please mind the door. Doors closing. Goes up. Doors opening. Going down.
So then, that's Road Trip Adventure 6 completed. Next road trip, Birmingham!
Then I'll take a stop.